Hi everyone, my name is Patricia Alonso and it's a pleasure to be here. I would like to thank the ISSI team for giving us the opportunity to have this event despite of the circumstances and all the obstacles that we are still facing. I know that an online event is not the same as a traditional one, but I think it gives us the opportunity to learn from one another, and that's a really good thing. So thank you. And as this is my first ISSI presentation, and I also would like to thank my co-authors Jorge Mañana and Elias Sanz, which have supported me a lot for this research in progress. So going directly to business, where research in progress is called Governmental Mobility Programs and Academic Performance in Spain. And the question we are asking is, how does mobility affect individual scholars? So this paper, this work in progress, provides preliminary results of the impact of Spanish governmental mobility programs in the scientific performance of its beneficiaries, both during the mobility period and afterwards. Why we want to study this? So first, I think it's super important and super interesting to be able to know the benefits and the things that are not working in all public programs or public grants, and to see the outcomes and try to design and have a better approach. And this is not an exception. So studying the effects of these programs can be useful to improve them. But also, although the positive effects of these programs have really manifest for academic career in progressing in the Spanish system, the material result of the mobilities have been overlooked. It's important to have this program in your CV, but the material result, the outcomes of the program, the scientific production you have done during the program is not as important as doing it. So how are we studying this? We study the scientific production of all the beneficiaries of two public mobility grants, which together cover the 2009 to 2017 period. And the study examines the beneficiaries' academic performance during and after the research visit, using the beneficiaries' production in the Web of Science and name disambiguation techniques to attribute each Web of Science article to its author. The data we have are, in the first place, the beneficiaries of the two consecutive Spanish national mobility programs, the postdoctoral mobility in foreign centers, which cover the only 2009 and 2010, and then the José Castillejo grant for mobility in foreign centers, which is still active. And we use the data from 2011 to 2017, except for 2013, when the program was cancelled. These two programs are, the second program is the continuation of the first one, but they have something that is pretty different, and I think is worth to highlight it, and this is the length of the program. So the postdoctoral mobility in foreign centers, this gives the scholars the opportunity to stay in the foreign center for a period of 1 to 2 years, while the José Castillejo grant gives the opportunity to the scholars to stay in the host center just from 3 to 6 months. And this is going to be important for the results I'm going to show you later. So in total, grants were given to 1,763 beneficiaries, and then the archives were collected for each beneficiary and inputted in the Web of Science. The results, metadata on Web of Science, unique identifier of the article, affiliation data, publication date, and year were downloaded, and this is for a total of 17,182 documents. So the methods First, we did some pre-processing with the data. We converted all the strings to ASCII, and then the names of the beneficiaries were converted to title case, and variables were generated for the complete first and second name, first and second surname, and the initial of the first name. The second surname is because here in Spain, most of the people has two surnames, and this is super good for the classification actually. Then we constructed regular expressions for 7 name variations and applied them in the following order that was designed to minimize the error after few trials. And here you have the form of the regular expressions of first surname, and these things here mean any element, any number of times, and then the complete name, then first surname, and then the first name, then first surname, second name, etc. And we are going to see this in more detail later. So let's see how we apply this to the affiliation strings. We did a classification loop. So we start from the affiliation data from the Web of Science, and we apply the first regex. And if we got one match, we consider that the article was correctly classified. If we got more than one match or 0 matches, we pass it to the second regex, and so on until the 7th regex. All the articles that got one match in any of the regex were considered classified, and the rest were considered not classified. With this method, I'm going to show you some examples now to have everything clear, because I know it can be confusing, but it's actually pretty easy. We got an accuracy rate of 91.5%, and this is from a random sampling test with 95 confidence level and a confidence interval of 10. Okay, let's see the examples here. So let's see one match. So we have the regex, which is Alonso, any character, any number of times, Patricia, any character, any number of times. And the affiliation is Alonso, comma, space Patricia, and then this is my affiliation. So it matches. So this is one match. We consider this article classified. Let's see, next one, more than one match. Here we have Alonso, any character, any number of times, P, any character, any number of times, and we see that it matches with Alonso, comma, space P, the Patricia, and then Alonso, comma, space P from Pilar. So this is more than one match, so we pass this to the next regex and do not classify it. Okay, next one, which is very easy too, zero matches. We have Alonso, any character, any number of times, Patricia, any character, any number of times, but here we have Alonso, comma, space Jorge. This is this has nothing to do with the regex, so it's 0 matches, and we pass it to the second regex, the third regex, and repeat until the 7th regex. And at the end, we have a table of classified articles, and we have a second table of non-classified articles. Okay, so as we downloaded all the production of the beneficiaries, and we also wanted to know which of we only wanted to analyze the production that was associated with the mobility program, we used 2 criteria. The first one was a geographical one, so articles that were written in collaboration with researchers from their destination country. We use a country dictionary on the destination country, were considered an outcome of the program. Then we have a temporal criteria, and we got this temporal criteria from this article here. You can see the reference. And the authors conclude that the mean period between an article is sent to a journal and published are 12 months. So we calculated this is considering publishing the lifetime. So we calculated 2 periods. The first approach considers all articles published 5 months after the start of the mobility programs in collaboration with researchers from the destination country, to evaluate the evolution of the collaborations and the continuity of the networks created during the mobility program. This is called full period approach, and it is to evaluate long-term outcomes. And the second method includes all collaboration articles identified before that have been published between 5 months after the start of the mobility program. This is the same as before, and 19 months after the end of the mobility. This is more restricted, and it intends to determine the production strictly written during the mobility. We call it BORC approach. Okay, here we have some results, and this is the average percentage of collaboration by resolution year. And here, when I go back to the first slide where we talk about the length of the programs, and as we see here, there are significant differences between the scholars that stay 1 to 2 years in the foreign center, and the scholars that stay 3 to 6 months. So we don't have enough information here to conclude, to have a strong conclusion, but it seems the longer periods have a stronger collaboration with the host institutions. Okay, let's see. This is the impact of the articles, and we use a pair t-test here, and as we see, the differences are significant, and the citations, the impact of documents written in collaboration with the host country are much more higher than citations of documents not written in collaboration with the host country. And this is also true. This is true for the BORC period, but this is also true for the full period. Here we have it. It is also significant, and the names are pretty different too. Okay, so the conclusions we get from this first study is that there have been surprisingly few collaborations between the beneficiaries and the researchers from the destination countries in all grant resolutions for the BORC period, although more collaboration in the two first programs, the 2009 and 2010. But collaborations for the full period show a really different pattern. The higher numbers for the first resolution years, this is 1 to 2 years mobility period, show that a considerable number of researchers participating in the research stage show long-term research collaboration with researchers from their host countries. Also, documents signed in collaboration present significantly more scientific impact than the documents not signed in collaboration. Assuming that collaborations are one of the state outcomes, it can be inferred that the program is somewhat successful in terms of increasing the impact, is somewhat successful both in terms of increasing the impact of the beneficiaries and creating international network, at least when they engage with the scholars from the countries they are visiting. This is mostly for scholars that obtained the grant in 2009 and 2010. And to finish, I would like to say that a further study on the differences between the scholars that benefit from longer programs and those that have certain mobility periods, both in Spain and abroad, can bring light on how to design grants that are more favorable both for their beneficiaries. Also, next steps of this study will also benefit from comparing the results presented here with the analysis of academic performance indicators of researchers that have not been awarded with a mobility grant in order to address the relative impact of governmental mobility programs in Spain. And this is all from me. Here you have my contact details in case you want to comment or ask anything, and I would like to thank you, and I cannot say goodbye without thanking the Spanish Ministry of Science and the Community of Madrid, because they have partially funded this program. So thank you to them, and thank you to all of you, and see you in the conference. Bye.